So when we get on the discussion of films during our childhood, we go back down memory lane and we tell people that this movie should be watched because it is a cult classic. We even go so far as to show our little ones that these are the movies that they should watch because, we want them to appreciate the cinema like we did. So many films that we grew up watching, a lot of these are really hard to fan cast, and this one is no exception. So because of you guys, this is the movie you guys chose. This is my fan casting for The Princess Bride. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Nerd News, a show created for nerds, say it with me, by a nerd. So let me catch you up before we go further on what led us to this episode. So I was challenged by my two buddies, these guys. They challenged me to recast Jurassic Park. And that was a really fun episode to do. I had a really good time recasting those characters. So that piqued my interest. I was like, okay, that was a good challenge. I know there are other good movies out there. What other movies can I recast? So I put on Facebook, what do you guys think? What is the one movie that you love so much that should never be recast or you think is impossible to recast? And I got a slew of amazing suggestions like Shawshank Redemption, Back to the Future, Goonies, to name a few. But one that came up more than others is The Princess Bride. And I know what you're thinking. Before we dive into this, I too think this movie should not be recast, but this is a challenge. I want to see if I can actually put together a solid group of actors that could best represent this film as close to the original cast as I possibly can. So challenge accepted to all of you out there in the Facebook land. And thank you guys for all your suggestions. I greatly appreciate it. These episodes would not happen if it wasn't for you, so thank you. But seriously, Back to the Future is also something that's in the back of my mind because that would be fun to recast too. Whoa, Doc! But guys, before we dive into today's episode, if this is your first time here, I would greatly appreciate it if you would just completely smash that like, that subscribe, and the notification bell so that you could be notified of all things us, me, this channel, us, my episodes. Keep watching. All right, so The Princess Bride. Where to begin? First of all, if you haven't seen The Princess Bride, have you lived under a rock, and do your parents even love you? If you don't know what the movie's about, well, let me catch you up. So the film is about a young boy who is sick in bed. His grandfather comes over with a book, and like good, like normal kids, they're like, book? What is that? Well, the grandfather reads him the book, and us, the viewers, get to see the book come to life, and the grandson actually enjoys the book. Spoiler alert? So it's an adventure, it's comedy, it's fantasy, it's action, it's a great movie. I highly suggest you watch it. True love. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of those, so sorry. Now, Princess Bride, without a doubt, is a cult classic, and it is one of the most quotable movies ever made, in my opinion. Clearly, from what I just did a few minutes ago. Now, this film came out in 1987. It was a good summer. And it still holds up to this day, to be completely honest. But let's see if I can do my best to recast this cast, because my gosh, the original cast is just bloody brilliant. So for this list, I'm gonna cast any actor from any time period. There's no limits. I'm gonna cast the actor or actress that I think best represents that character. So with a film that is jam-packed full of amazing characters, I'm gonna just take a handful out and cast them because this would be like a 5-hour episode. So we're gonna cast the following: Prince Humperdinck, Vizzini, the grandson, the grandfather, Count Rugen, Princess Buttercup, Inigo Montoya, Frizik, and of course, Wesley. So no time to waste, let's get going. I think it's fair to begin this list with the characters that began this movie, in that of the grandson and the grandfather. So we'll start with the grandson, which I don't know their names. I don't think they ever said their names. It's just grandson, grandfather, but oh well. So in the original film, Fred Savage played the role of the grandson. So Fred Savage is best known for this movie, The Princess Bride, and also The Wonder Years. He also did a spoof of this character in Deadpool 2, the G-rated version. And if you haven't seen that, I kind of like the G-rated version better because Deadpool is the grandfather in that. It's amazing. Just watch that too. So in the opening film, the grandson learns that his grandfather's coming over and he has a book for him and he's like, what's a book? Words. Sorry for all the people out there that read, sorry. So I'm looking for a young actor, one that has that like, can roll their eyes, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, grandpa, you're here again. And of course you gotta find an actor who's just adorable. Because I mean, Fred Savage when he was little, He was kind of adorable. So I'm gonna cast Jackson Robert Scott. Now, if that name doesn't ring a bell, his face probably does. He's best known for the remake of the great movie, at least the first one, It. That's right, he played Georgie. You'll float too. You'll float too. That wasn't as creepy. He was also on Netflix's fantastic show, Lock and Key. Now, when he was in It, he was just downright creepy. Well, he was creepy when It took over his body, but before that, he was a normal kid. Just wanted to race his boat, hang out with his brother, and do normal kid stuff. He was adorable. He was really funny at times, but yet again, it got creepy, but he can play multiple things. Plus, picturing in that bed, I can see him looking down at Grandpa being like, really? A book? A book. Wouldn't that be great if if the grandfather was like, here, you're gonna read this book. And the kid's like, It? Never heard of it. There you go. And I think Jackson would be a great substitute for Fred Savage because, he can play the stubborn, he can play the typical kid who just really doesn't care about books. He's adorable, and he fits the role perfectly. So I'm casting him. I think he fits great. So Jackson, get ready to get those jammies on and the sniffle of the nose because you are my grandson. That's really weird to say out loud, but you know what I'm saying. So now let's move on to the grandfather. So the grandfather was played by the legendary man himself, Peter Falk. Now Peter Falk had a couple of things that was a perfect fit for him being a grandfather. He had that really interesting, gritty, almost like a New York accent in a way, but it's really gritty, And he was just adorable the way that he interacted with the grandson. You could tell he loved his grandson. He brought him a present, and you can feel the love between those two characters. So I wanted to find an actor who has that same feel, who is very lighthearted, when they smile, you feel safe and you just want to be around them all the time. So I think I found, honestly, I'm really proud of this casting. I think I found the perfect grandfather, and that's Jeff Bridges. Now, Jeff, what can I say about Batman? His body of work, he has done so many good things, from Tron to True Grit to, gosh, I could keep going on and on. The dude, he's been in everything, and he has a great range for being this stoner, for being this, straight up, I can take care of things in Tron. He has an amazing acting range, and I think he has this grandfather type feel. But, his laid back demeanor, and just picture him, sitting down with his legs crossed, and he has the book, and he's like, all right, man, it's time for your book. That is the worst Jeff Bridges impression, and I will never do that again. You have my word. So Jeff the dude, you are the grandfather. Man, I really wish these characters had names because it just sounds weird to say. You're the grandfather. You're the grandson. Next up, we're gonna move on to Prince Humperdinck. So in the film, Prince Humperdinck was played by Chris Sandarin. Humperdinck is a hunting obsessed man, and he wants Buttercup. Let's just be honest. Well, not just once, he plans to murder her. Spoiler alert. So I want to find someone who is intimidating, but still has that, he's intimidating in a way where it's annoying, you know what I mean? Like that pompous, rich, kind of uppity voice, that kind of look. Do you know what I'm saying? I know he doesn't sound like that in the movie, but he just has that, demeanor. His head's up and he has the crown, and he's just like, yes, I will place you in the dungeon for merely looking at me, you poor peasant. Get me my horse. But he has that dry, colder kind of feel to him, and I want an actor who can portray that cold, adventurous side, and I think I found it. So I'm gonna cast actor Colin Firth. Now, Colin is, yet again, he has a big body of work, but he's known for The King's Speech, Kingsman, and, oh man, what was the other one? That's right, I couldn't remember it because I only seen it once. Bridget Jones's Diary. Now, Colin is a fantastic actor. He has an Oscar to prove it. Do you need to say more? Colin is stoic, and he understands drama very well. Just watch King's Speech. But he also understands the adventure side, the action side, to playing characters like in Kingsman. He is charismatic. He has a demanding presence to him, and I think he's believable as a villain. So I honestly believe that Colin Firth would make a good Prince Humperdinck. So Colin, grab your ascot and your big fluffy thing around your neck, whatever they wear back in the day. You are my Prince Humperdinck. Next up, we're gonna move on to one of my favorite characters, Vizzini. So one word comes to mind when you see the character of Vizzini. Say it with me now. Inconceivable. I realized that sounded like Daffy Duck. Now, William Shawn played this role in the original movie, and his performance is it's so hard not to watch him, you know what I mean? Him being angry and yelling and being frustrating all the time. No rhyming, I mean it. It's just, I could watch a spin-off based on that character alone. Vizzini is cruel, he's cunning, he's bossy, he has a little man syndrome. I mean, he is a little man. He also bosses Physique and Inigo Montoya around like they're children, and it's just so funny because clearly they're way bigger than him, and he's like the size of a shin. So what angry actor could I get that could possibly take on this amazing ball of energy, but still can be really relevant and compelling while yelling? I think I found the man, Paul Giamatti. From Spider-Man to Sideways to American Splendor, he has had an amazing career and still having a great career. But Paul fits so many check marks off of this character. Bald, he yells a lot in his movies, but when he yells, it's like Tom Hanks yelling. It's hilarious. Buzz! But his ability to take an angry character from this like fully understanding, you know, why he's angry, and then you're angry with him, and then you sympathize with him, and then you're laughing because he's angry again, it's just a perfect cycle of humor. Plus, just to watch Paul in the scene where he's poisoning the cups, you know, and he does that big laugh at the end before, you know, he dies. I can picture it. I can picture it. So, Paul, my man, you, my good sir, are Vizzini. Next, we move on to Count Logan. That was a Street Fighter reference in the middle of that. God, I'm a nerd. Now, Count Rugen is played by the legendary comic Christopher Guest. Now, Christopher's really funny. He has this calm, dry kind of tone. He's very serious. Now, Christopher does a really good job of being calm, of being just like totally monotone throughout his entire performance, and it's hilarious. Even when he's getting hurt, he has a monotone pain expression. So I want to find another actor who can do that little borderline of like, they're really serious, but there are times where it's like, did you just crack a joke? I think he cracked a joke. So that's why I'm gonna cast actor Mads Mikkelsen. Now, Mads is best known for playing Caecilius in Doctor Strange, and he was also in Star Wars Rogue One. Apparently, I talk like a toddler now. Star Wars. You see Star Wars? Now, Mads is an odd cookie to crack. I can't tell if that actor is happy, sad, depressed, bloated. Like, you can't tell. But in certain films, he'll crack jokes, and you're like, I think I'm supposed to laugh here. I mean, that's why I think he would be a perfect fit, because he has those robotic tones that fits this character so well. And that's the thing about this movie. When let's say my cast list actually comes to fruition, these actors know what they're signing up for. They're signing up for something that's really funny, but still serious and fantasy at the same time. So they know that there's like this room to be a little bit goofy. Do you know what I mean? So, Mads, you are my Count Logan. Sorry, it's just fun to say it that way. Now, the next character has, in my opinion, the most quotable line from this entire movie that people say to this day. There are shirts printed all over the world that have this saying, and you know what it is. That's right, I'm casting Inigo Montoya. I know you just said the line, didn't you? I know you did, it's okay. Now, Inigo Montoya is the world's youngest swordsman, and he is very dangerous, and he takes those skills and tries to avenge his father's death. Now, Inigo Montoya is played by the talented Mandy Patinkin. He did such a wonderful job. His performance made you just fall in love with that character, and you're like, man, find your father, avenge him, come on. And like I said, the most quotable line, now let's say it all together. I am Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. So I am looking for a Spanish actor because when I was going through the list of who can play this actor, oh man, this one came to me like instantly. I knew exactly who I was going to cast when I was planning this episode. I am casting Pedro Pascal. Now, Pedro is best known for Game of Thrones and The Mandalorian. He is the Mandalorian in The Mandalorian. Now, Pedro is a very likable actor. You could tell he has a chip on his shoulder, but he's also very charming, and he's also just one of those guys next door that you want to hang out with. But I think just with his charismatic personality, it fits this character to the T. So, Mr. Pedro Pascal, you, my dear sir, or Inigo Montoya. Next, we're going to move on to the lovable giant, and that of Physique. Now, Physique is the larger-than-life gentle giant who has a thing for rhyming pretty much everything. Everybody want a peanut? And who played him in the original film is the legendary, when you talk about a gentle giant, Andre the Giant was that. His performance is just, he was just a teddy bear. It was like if Falcor from the Neverending Story was embodied into a human, it would be Andre the Giant. So we need to find that gentle giant, that man that could physically break you, but he won't, because, you know, he's a nice guy. So pretty much what I'm saying is we need to cast Lenny from Mice and Men. If you know that play, then you'll get that reference, and it was pretty darn good. So I was thinking through a bunch of different big guys that I could cast in this role, and I think I went back to wrestling. I'm gonna cast The Big Show. You know, if you ever watch WWE, he is a big threat on that show, but the crazy thing about him is his character is very, you know, I bro down like I can break you. But if you ever watch him on a late night show, he is the complete opposite. I think it was Conan O'Brien that I saw him talking about something that he was promoting. I forgot what it was. But anyways, he was having fun with Conan, and like, he was always smiling, and he's just goofy, and he was just lovable, enjoying life, and that's what this character needs. And I think with The Big Show having his experience and his time in the WWE as a wrestler, he would pay homage to Andre the Giant, because I mean, everyone, no matter what you're in, wrestling, NFL, whatever, you always, you know, respect the people that came before you, and I think he would do the same in this role. So The Big Show, it's time for you to rhyme. One more time. You're my number one guy. I never said I was a rapper. You are my physique. All right, down to the last two characters. Let's go. So now it's the ladies' turn. Let's move on to Princess Buttercup. So Princess Buttercup is the most beautiful woman in the world, and she also loves her dear Wesley. So in the film, she was played by the very young at the time, Robin White. Robin Wright. I can't talk today. It's the R's. Robin. Her performance is sweet, it's innocent, and then when she gets together with Wesley, you feel that love, like you understand that, yeah, these people need to be together. So the actress that I am thinking to cast in this role is Evan Rachel Wood. Now, Evan is best known for Across the Universe and HBO's Westworld. She does play those romantic type characters, those innocent characters, but she also plays a lot of characters that have that aggression, that can take care of themselves. But like The Big Show, when you see her doing just normal interviews, doing press junkets, she is just as sweet and innocent off screen as she sometimes portrays on screen. And I think she physically looks like a Buttercup type character. She has the long blonde hair, give her that same kind of costume, and I think she would fit perfectly visually into that world. So Evan, you are Princess Buttercup. I don't know why I use that accent, but I'll go with it. So now we have reached the last casting choice on this list, guys, and his famous line is perfect when you're rolling down hills. That's right, we're gonna talk about Sweet Wesley. Now, Wesley is a handsome farm boy who is brave, who is in love with Princess Buttercup and will do anything for her. In fact, when she asks him to do something, he says, "As you wish." Now, Cary Elwes is the actor who played Wesley in the film, and he played the character brilliantly. It was a nice mix of like this little tongue-in-cheek humor, right? It's a little goofy at times, especially when he's, you know, paralyzed at the end. It's really funny. But also he has those little dramatic moments. So I need to find an actor who has those little ranges of, you know, not afraid to being a little goofy, to being a little serious, to being a little, you know, adventurous and a little bit of action. So I'm actually gonna go with an actor that you probably wouldn't think I would choose, Taron Egerton. So Taron is best known for Kingsman and Rocketman, and recently is cast in the Little Shop of Horrors remake. He's going to be playing Seymour. A little bonus trivia there for you. I think Taron is a great choice for this because he understands the goofiness, like he did playing Elton John in Rocketman. It's a little bit goofy, it's serious, and sometimes it's downright depressing. But also he has a really fun character in Kingsman, so he understands the, like, you know, the fun, adventurous side that this character needs, because his character goes on crazy adventures. And all you gotta do is give Taron the blonde hair, you know, teach him how to say the line "as you wish" over and over and over again, especially you practice it rolling down the hills, because that'll come in handy. So Taron, you are my Wesley. Now guys, that is my recast for The Princess Bride. Did you agree with any of my choices? If so, let me know in the comments below. I wanna know what you think. But thank you for sticking around on this one, guys, and yet again, I'm gonna leave you with another joke. What does a sword and a musical instrument have in common? They both know how to be sharp. Think about it. There it is.